Welcome everybody to the Nottaku podcast, which I'm not going to lie, we've tried to start this several times and everybody's been annoying.
Don't tell them that.
Anyway, I have very many people with me today. Who do I have?
On today's podcast, you've got Lewis, who is the podcast equivalent of dubbed anime, liked by me and no one else.
You've got Hugh, the podcast equivalent of dubbed anime in the early 2000s. Sounds weird, but no one knows why.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm the podcast equivalent of your favourite dub. You'll introduce it to your friends, but you're not really sure why and you can't explain it.
Oof. And Ben is currently opening and closing a door, so he is the podcast equivalent. I see. The chambermaid.
Secret guest.
I'm the podcast equivalent of this analogy. There was no effort, thought, or anything put into it, but it came out anyway, and so it's just here and a bit of embarrassment.
And let's be honest, we all regret it. What is today's Alastair about podcast?
And I'm Alastair. I'm the dub equivalent of a ecchi dub. I know too many ways of saying the word titties.
Okay, I quite like that one. Okay, I do quite like that one.
He knows all three.
Yeah. Bristles, titties, and breasts. That's all.
Jubblies.
No, that's not allowed. Neither of those are allowed.
Alastair, why have we wrangled all these chuckle, whatever McCalls it, back into this podcast?
Well, basically what happened is somebody decided to ask a question of, I am currently doing...
Why are you being coy? It was Lewis.
Okay, Lewis asked this wonderful question of...
Someone in the audience, or it might be in this podcast. Just go on.
Okay, yeah, no, Lewis asked the question to us of, I would like to have some anime to watch while I exercise. So we just thought, okay, let's just turn this into a podcast topic and discuss.
You're missing a lot of bits there.
More along the lines of just, like, I'm a busy guy. I like to work. I like to work out. And so consequently, I need something I watch in the background. And usually, that will be a dub. So that's kind of a dubbed conversation. But also, there's any anime you can easily watch in the background, was kind of the idea here. Kind of relaxing anime that we could all sort of switch off to a little bit, I dare say.
I mean, should we potentially start by, like, selling to some people within our viewer base, listener base, whatever, as to why we actually all like dubbed anime? Because it's like a big thing, a controversial topic in the anime community.
It
I
is.
feel like
It
we're
is.
skipping the step there, where we turn around and say, well, the best anime to watch in the background is the one in your native language.
Yeah.
I agree. I'd argue that comedy as well works. Comedy anime works way better in a dubbed format if the dub is good.
Well, I mean, it's for a straightforward reason, and the only reason why you'd watch a dub is because you want to understand the intonation and the way the voice actor is speaking it. With the exception of very few voice actors, you are, in Japanese, never going to understand a specific word choice because they're speaking Japanese. And also you're going to struggle with the intonation of their voice. Because as much as you think you can keep up, you can't, I'd argue, unless you're a Japanese speaker. Thanks, Huey boy.
My pleasure.
And unless they're a very good voice actor, the whole point is that they bring themselves across. And comedy is something where it's all about the subtext and less what's said and more what is and the way it is being said, rather.
It's also timing, isn't it? The idea that in comedy it's all about timing, and when you're reading it off the page, you don't get the timing.
No,
I
you
also
don't.
argue one of the big problems with subtitled anime, and it's one that I think every single person in this podcast will have experienced at some point in their anime watching life, where you've been watching a scene, and at the end of the subtitles, you see ...
Yeah, and then someone gets instantly fucking killed.
in the middle of a sentence, and immediately, before it even happens, you think, oh, something surprising is going to happen. Then it happens, and it's ruined for you, because it isn't a surprise.
I think the only time that's ever actually like done all right was in Attack on Titan, where at the end of the episode, Eren's there like, man, yeah, humanity's gonna do well, ... and then the Colossal Titan just teleports behind him, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that kind of worked, but the point is it only kind of worked, and like...
It kind of worked because it was the end of a sentence, not the middle of a sentence.
So let's begin the conversation then. So why do people love subs so much? Why are people racist?
Yeah.
Don't ask me. I fucking love dubs.
I think subs speak to the kind of like the side of anime viewers that wants to watch something that is in another language. They're watching something that is fundamentally Japanese. They enjoy it. They want to watch it. As a result, hearing the Japanese and reading the subtitles makes them feel like this is a part of the experience, makes it feel better to them.
Adds to the quote-unquote authenticity of it.
Yeah, exactly. You are watching it in the way that a lot of people, like a lot of time I've heard it argued, is the way the creator intended, which is a strange little kind of quote, because you then kind of start to talk about the concept of death of the author, as to if enough people within your community decide that your thing has meaning, or your thing actually means something else, or it actually should be watched somewhere else, does the author or the creator still have a right to sit down and dictate, no, this is what I actually think? So, for instance, Hideaki Anno has said that a lot of the stuff people have come up with and seen in Evangelion wasn't actually what he intended to put in there, but because it got seen by the audience, he is accepting of the fact that that's now what it means to people.
Yeah, he had no idea what was going on with that plot. Ben, you were saying something.
See, I think there's a lot of difference in the way that people prefer subs over dubs, because there's a lot of bad parts in the dubs, and it's easy to notice when it's a bad dub.
Yeah,
Because
very
you know the
much,
language, you realise the intonation, and there's even really good dubs out there that'll sit there and I'll be like, this is stilted and not how people talk.
and we'll talk about those in a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There will be shows that I will praise the dub for, and there will still be moments in it where I sit there and cringe and go, and it makes me physically cringe. Not necessarily down to the fact that people are bad actors, but it's due to the fact that it's not really an official or proper medium in any way, or in the West. You don't get schooled for it. You don't learn anything. You learn on the job. You get thrown in a booth and you get told to do the lines. It's not a big thing.
Do you know where
Whereas
sorry, Ben, do you actually know where the vast majority of English voice actors come from?
I'm assuming California?
No, I mean in terms of profession as opposed to place.
Oh, right. Marketing?
Nope.
I'm assuming it's nothing to do with acting.
It's regular acting. They're taken from the theatre specifically, not from TV or film, but from local theatre, because it makes them cheap. And critically, if your voice can carry to the end of the room, it's assumed you're a good voice actor. You can see how that wouldn't work.
And they don't get any training. They learn on the job, which is why you see the same people over and over again, because they've made the name for themselves and they've learned and they've got the experience.
Same with video game voice acting.
Yep. Well, the two bleed into each other.
Whereas in Japan, you get the actual schools for it, you get teaching, you get tutoring, it's a proper career. You've got like degrees in the whole thing of learning what to do, how to alter your pitch, how to put the correct intonation in the scene. And I think despite the fact it's another language, it shows that, and that there's this effort that people have learned to put into it. And so people are less likely to go in and go, oh, I'm going to put my hat in, I'm going to throw my hat in with the group that's basically some newbies who don't really know what they're doing and are just starting out trying it and will make me physically cringe. And they'll instead go for the one where, even if it is physically cringe, they don't really know that it is.
And yet, I would argue that when it comes down to Japanese voice acting, there are still like only about 20 of each gender.
That's it.
Like thinking about it, like if you watch a show, the main like actress or actor, you can look back and you'll see they've been the main actress and actor for so many other shows, and probably are maybe even the main actress and actor for a show that season. I mean, look at Kana Hanazawa. I mean, she is in everything sometimes.
But sorry, I will say one thing to hop onto that. By the way, right, Matt Mercer is a very good voice actor. Probably like the most famous male voice actor at this point. Right, he is not like at least so. Contender.
Anime, I'd say anime dub voice actor, because
that's what I mean. That's what in this anime podcast I'm talking about the fucking piss Easter cartoons.
No, I meant because if you extended it into like normal voice acting, I'd argue like Nolan North and Troy Baker.
Yeah, sure, even to an extent, right? Despite the fact that the three of them have got quite characteristic voices, right? It still takes me a minute to tell whether or not it's Matt Mercer or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah? Mm. I'd argue that in the West, you don't get people who are famous for their voices. You remember that time? Except for not even Liam O'Brien, because it takes because I can pin him in a crowd, but if you listen to him as Earl of Pudding, which is his voice role in Code Geass, it's not his voice. Whereas, like, Ben, do you remember that time we watched Made in Abyss, and within 2 seconds of everyone's favourite dad appearing on screen, it was, oh, look, there's Dio.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yes,
and it was just
absolutely.
like, oh, look, Dio. And, like,
Yeah.
does he have any vocal range? Not really. He's got Dio. I love Dio's voice actor. On the other hand, his voice is Dio.
He's good at what he does, and that's the point, because it's such an actual career and market in Japan that they can be good at that one voice and roll on it. Whereas in the Western market, you've got to flex.
I'd argue as well, like, people want that voice. Like, when you have female voice actors and male voice actors, they in Japan, they will most likely be employed for the specific voice and for the name. So they can sit down and go, we've got Kana Hanazawa in our anime. And as a result, she kind of just speaks how she always speaks because they want people to know, hey, look who we've got. And when she does do stuff that changes up her voice, people kind of applaud it and go, oh, that was interesting, but you can still tell it's her because she's still doing the exact same kind of voice she usually does, because that's what people want.
So, to my mind, the only Western voice actor I can actually think of where people still get excited about them being in a project is actually Crispin Freeman. That's only because he's been out of the game for a little while. Like,
Got the reset period.
He was one of the OGs. He was also, like you say, out of it for ages. So when he turns up, everyone's just like, "Ooh, Crispin Freeman!
ooh, it's Crispin Freeman!" Like,
Ooh, can you do the Kyonon voice again?"
Also because he's the dub actor, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that is the lead in the defining dub show.
yes, and we shall talk about that in a moment. And not to mention the fact that he also wrote 20 episodes of the original Pokemon when it was being shipped to the West. So he was in the original crowd, like the epicenter original crowd.
Yeah, that's another thing to mention. You get a massive switch in like what people can possibly do with the Western ones. Like, it's not even just flex in voice acting; it's flex in what they can do. Like in Devil May Cry 5, Liam O'Brien is the voice director for the whole English voice acting set.
Crispin Freeman lectures voice acting at a university.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they have this mass, which is fantastic because voice acting isn't taught, like I said. And so the fact that he's actually gone out and done this is something like, because it's just not a common thing.
No.
And so, but it still adds to the fact that they have to branch out and do these extra things because it's not a sustainable career unless you're the big ones.
Yeah, Liam O'Brien wrote and ADR'd Code Geass.
Yeah, I know it's a bit off topic, but as we're talking about like class and stuff, I think the favourite advice I've ever heard from a voice actor was London Comic Con, like a full year ago now, and it was the voice actor for Winnie the Pooh, and someone asked him like, "What advice have you got for people who want to become new voice actors?" And he just said, if you ever do an impression that's so bad no one knows what it is, bam, you've got your new character.
I also like the fact
he's a fucking legend, that guy.
I also like the fact you're like, oh, the voice actor for Winnie the Pooh. Like you just like you're sat there just like, oh yeah, you know, it's the voice.
Jim Cummings.
But I was going to say, like, one of the most famous voice actors of all time, the guy that basically is like the voice of Disney.
He's right up there with Vegeta.
Vegeta.
Yeah. So as far as the group goes, I think we all like some dubbed anime. We certainly don't hate some dubbed anime. There are some shows I would never watch dubbed. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure being my go-to because it's so fucking Japanese. Does anyone else have a show like that? I mean, Bakemonogatari probably as well, because again, so Japanese.
Bakemonogatari didn't even bother.
It doesn't have a dub because it couldn't have a dub.
Yeah, you struggle.
Honestly, there is so much talking in that show, and it's so specifically designed around like
Japanese
kind of Japanese literature, words, wordplay, that if you put it into an English format, it just doesn't work. I mean, if you look at the translations of the book titles, even those don't work, because Kizumonogatari is a pun on Kizimono, which is like a scarred or broken person, or a scarred or broken thing, and Monogatari, a story combined into one. However, they can't really do this kind of weird mixed title for that, so they just called it Wound Tale, which doesn't really work. The only one I've seen that worked was Bakemonogatari. They called it Monstery because they combined monster and story, and even then, doesn't really work.
To be fair, Wound Tales were over there with Fight Song in terms of shit that doesn't make much sense but sounds good, so I'll give it that.
If Bakemonogatari ever got a dub, I wouldn't watch it. I am so ingrained in that thing's sub that I wouldn't even bother.
Man, if fucking Bakemonogatari paid me, I wouldn't watch it. Just full stop.
Dab.
Get the fuck out of my podcast.
We've done this before. Let him be.
Let him be. No, I think for me, probably, and I know it's either already got a dub or getting a dub.
Are you going to say Konosuba?
No, I'm not going to say Konosuba.
Oh,
I'm going to say Chihaya Furu, because the entire
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
the entire point of that show, it's about a Japanese poetry card game.
I can imagine that. Sword over sand, slap some car with a donkey on it, just like fucking like what you want about? Like what? Like Natty.
Jesus Christ, am I sat there going, it's a show about a Japanese card game, and I'm sat there going,
Good show.
You mean like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like,
yeah, but you I know what I mean.
No, it's a
I know
really,
it's a good show.
a really good show.
A rolling stone gathers no moss. 10 point to
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Ben, what does Paw of Greed do? Nah, fucking but like to be fair, actually, the moment I realised how small the Western dubbing industry was when I realised the voice of Kaiba is the same as the voice for Brock, and that moment forever changed me as a child. It
I
must
noticed
be
that as
said.
well when I was
And I
younger.
was like, but they can't be. Brock is like the nicest guy ever, and Kaiba's so cool.
God, the Kaiba was cool.
I was 8. He had money. That was all that was needed.
I was gonna say, like, it happened for me very early with goddamn Dragon Ball with Chris Sabat voicing Vegeta, Piccolo, Yamcha. So he talks to himself for a good half episode a lot of the
That's
time.
funny.
That's cool. But yeah, as far as I recall, though, Alastair and I are the only advocates here for like dub all the way, as I recall. Most of the people here would watch sub if preferred.
I'll
as
watch whatever's available.
Joe's a language slut.
Yep.
I like watching stuff when it comes out, therefore I just kind of like watching it in whatever it has, and so as a result, most of the time it's in Japanese. Sorry guys, we need to wait for a second while Joe blows his nose.
No, I think he was leaning on his chair.
Oh, right.
Time for Hugh to keep in that edit of that chair squeaking, not the rest. just so that makes sense in context.
Oh, no, or I can cut the entire thing.
I'll get some WD-40 on the break.
but what if the cap is loose? What the fucking?
And now it stays in.
But yes, so Ben, like you're also mainly subbed, right? Like as a rule.
I'm mainly subbed, but only because I just find it so difficult to get a proper good dub.
Yeah.
There'll just be one character or one thing in it that will ruin it for me, and it's an odd one, because if I watch the show first dubbed, I'll be like, alright, there's sometimes, like, your first impression will always be the one that sticks with you. However, going back through and rewatching some of them dub when I'm older and have more of appreciation for these things, I'm sat there and I'm just like, fuck me, this is awful. How the hell did I watch this? Like, the Clannad dub and the Mirai Nikki dub. Holy
Mirai Nikki dub is
shit.
bad.
How did I put up with that over the sub at the time? What possessed me that I was listening to those two in comparison and went, I'll go with this one, because this was at the same time that I listened to Fate Zero subbed and dubbed. I was like, this is amazing. I wonder what the dub's like. And I tried the dub, and I was like, you've got famous actors, and it doesn't work. And I'm like, that's bad.
I will throw down now. Fate Zero is one of the worst dubs I've ever heard. Gilgamesh is terrible. I watched the Unlimited Blade Works movie dubbed just because.
So
well,
sorry.
I figured that if I was going to watch the movie, I may as well watch it in its most primordial form. Shiro's voice actor is fucking terrible. Sakura's okay. Gilgamesh is terrible. Everyone else is terrible in that entire fucking thing. Sakura's okay.
I would argue one of the big issues with kind of getting dubs is, in order to get a dub, you've essentially either got to be on a streaming service like Netflix, or have buy a DVD or a Blu-ray. If you want to watch a show on like Crunchyroll or Funimation or Hulu or High Dive, they most of the time are subbed. it's only specific shows that actually get dubbed. Like simi-dubbing is a thing, but it's still not a very big thing.
Every show on Funimation has a dub.
But that's because Funimation is a dubbing service.
Let's look at Crunchyroll. How many shows on Crunchyroll have dubs? I think it's less than 20.
Like, the thing with Funimation as well, though, is the fact that it's only available most of them in America. Ben can testify to this. I got into the Gunslinger Girl dub a week after it got taken off of Netflix. Right. I had to watch this thing dubbed, though, because, like, do you want to know my very weird reason for this? The opening is Light Where We Land by the Delgados, which is a Glaswegian-based band. So I was like, well, I should probably watch this dub because I like it anyway. And I preferred the dub voice actress for Henrietta. So I was like, fuck it. I was there with Tor. It's a normal. There we go. Yeah. I was there with Tor browser open, pinging my IP off of not even the Netherlands, pinging off of the Netherlands to California to the Funimation servers with my login that I had just made, streaming at 360p barely just to watch this thing dubbed. I jumped through some fucking hoops to watch that shit.
We haven't had to do shit like that for years. I mean, the last time I remember doing that was watching YouTube animes like 10 minutes at a time in 3 parts.
I was about to say, watch the fucking 3-part YouTube anime in maximum fucking 420.
I wasn't even an anime fan when that was a thing.
I genuinely, when I was doing my maths exams, I wanted something in the background, wouldn't you know it? So I watched Code Geass subbed, then I watched it dubbed for my maths exams, and I had it played all on YouTube. God bless that soul that uploaded the whole fucking thing. Like,
he's been sued into the ground.
Not even in 3 parts, just the whole thing in one neat playlist. It was brilliant.
What was the fucking upload thing that I used to use? Mega Video, was that it?
The one that ran into the ground. Like now we're talking about the stuff that we pirate with.
Yeah, so...
I'd like to point out I have not pirated a single show for like 6 months.
The last
show I pirated was one that I'm like, this is going to come to Netflix in like 6 months. I kind of want to watch it now.
For at least 6 months, I have not committed a crime.
That's the statute of limitations on pirating. Someone calls Somalia if the statute of limitations is 6 months.
Let's find out all their fucking pirating. What the fuck?
Well, I'm going to buy it later anyway.
Anyway,
don't you try and move on the conversation. You're not allowed.
I'm saying the pirating debate is a very, very different debate from the dub debate.
Yeah, let's not. Let's not steal shit. Do it. Fight everyone. No, so I think it's fair at this point. I think we discussed the sort of preamble a fair bit with dubs. So I think at this point, gentlemen, I often write 132-page tabletop role-playing game guides. I like to box in 20 minutes an evening. What do I watch in the background if I still want to be a weeb? What do I do? Or listen to? Alastair.
Ooh, he's dictating.
Alastair, you are my fellow dub in arms. I'm never going to say those words again.
Dub in arms.
You are my fellow watcher of English in arms. Tell me, mate. More like dick taking. Fucking thanks, Ben.
Ben put that in the chat.
High quality chat from Ben.
What do you recommend for a busy individual such as myself?
Right. So I'll start with my non-curveball answer first, I think. I know you've seen some of this show. I think you may have seen the first season of this show. But the dub for it is fantastic, and it's a really good show, which is Assassination Classroom.
I have seen the first season for Assassination Classroom, and I do like the dub a fair bit, actually. I think is the MC's character, is the MC Nagisa, is that the name?
Nagisa, yeah.
Nagisa, yeah.
I thought they had a really good fucking voice actor behind them.
Is it a man or a girl that's voicing them?
Yes.
I think Nagisa's voice actor, I think, is female, but that's probably by design because he's
effeminate.
He's effeminate male, kind of.
But
He's not quite a trap. But...
Not so early.
Nagisa's voice actor is Lindsay Seedle.
A man there.
A man's man.
So yeah, no. As you've already seen the first season, you know what it's about. Just for, I mean, I brought the show up before. I think on the very first podcast.
Yeah, you probably did. It's just like why is it a good dub? I think is the key center point.
So, Assassination Classroom, even though, like, I do admit it is a show based in Japan in a Japanese high school. Ignore that. The voice acting in it is amazing. They have nailed all the important characters at least. Like, Koro Sensei, even though I've heard Koro Sensei in the sub and he sounds amazing in the sub as well, but the dub voice actor for Koro Sensei just works really, really well, which was probably one of the most important voice acting roles that they had to nail, was Koro Sensei. All the main cast, the 3 main children, they're voiced really, really well.
The 3 main children. Sorry.
Well, no.
Just a weird
No, he's right. It's also the extras are also pretty good in it, which is actually a fairly important deal. Like, because Ben, you mentioned earlier that shit gets ruined for you in dubs, right? For me, it's always the fucking 16-year-old American girl in the middle of fucking weirdly gruff people.
Yeah, see, see, I get that. It's always the stilted bits that get me, because they'll just be something where it'll just be like, "There's rice on your face," or it'll just be like, "And then she died."
I take a potato chip
and
that's a treasure.
Oh, see, that's a treasure, but that's overacting, and overacting can ruin it just as much. But it's always just it's always the bits where it's like. It's always exemplified as well when you've got a decent actor in another one, because it'll be like, "What are you gonna do about that?" And the other one's like, "I don't know. I think you've fallen perfectly into my trap." And it's like, oh my god. Dude. Hentai voice acting and fucking regular dub acting may as well be the same as porn acting.
It is alright to be. So
there's a shark. There's no shark in here.
So shut the fuck up! The extras are good. I like the 3 main characters as well, Alastair. Do fucking continue. These retards go on.
Yeah,
talking about 3D bullshit.
Don't do it.
like you said, the extras. I don't think there was a single moment in that run of the 2 seasons of the show where I felt it was cringy at all. There wasn't a single moment where I was like, that one character that's only in it for 1 sentence sounded off. Everything sounded good to me. But it's also just as a show to watch in the background. I would probably suggest maybe, personally, I wouldn't watch it while doing something in the background, apart from the fact that I've seen it all and that's fine. But the start of it is quite episodic, so it's not it's quite easy to just have on, and you can miss a couple of bits, and it's not that important. It's quite a fun ride show, and especially if you're doing something in the background that requires you to have motivation, for example, the show itself is very motivating because it has very motivating themes of the
kill your teachers.
Have to
I'm not gonna lie, the actions of both killing teachers and improving myself is among my day-to-day thoughts, so I think that actually works quite well. Thank you, Joe. Why did you do that slowly? That was a good 20 seconds of just bullshit.
Oh no, have we not noticed the fact that Joe has been setting up a drink for about the last 2 minutes, and he thinks he's been doing it sneakily?
I just didn't want to interrupt.
Doing away from the camera!
I don't have a camera.
What camera?
That should not have been the part of that sentence you took issue with. But no. Well, thank you, Elsa. I have seen the season 1. I did see it done. And it must be said, I think that it was a very good one to fucking watch. So I think that is definitely one of our contenders for a decent one. Joe, seeing as how you're in the fucking spotlight and you've got a drink ready, why don't you go ahead and enlighten us?
So, my recommendation will always be Black Lagoon. For a good dubbed anime to watch in the background, while you're doing anything, really.
And what's so good about it, apart from all the female voice leads, who are literally the best female voice leads in anime?
Well, yeah, you got that. I'd say it's the actual westernization of it is brilliant. They, as you said, there's a lot of animes where they try and dub it. If they are focused in a Japanese style, then it's not going to translate well. This is set in Thailand in a fictional setting.
Roanapur!
Yes, I was going to get to that. but they've taken the original script and they have actually westernized it. All of the jokes that wouldn't have really gotten through to the audience, they've changed to make them actually, A, understandable, and B, good. They aren't just thrown on the side for no reason.
They're good jokes. It's a funny show.
They are great jokes. And
fucking, what's the name of the fucking bitch with the knives? Like, her fucking accent.
Just Chinglish.
Yeah, Chinglish. That's her.
Literally, they name her by her accent. While it's an action show where obviously they'd like you to be paying attention, most of the enjoyment for me always just comes from the back and forth between the characters, because there's such a varied cast, and the dialogue, as I say, is always great, and they're just constantly going back and forth to each other, cracking jokes, having arguments, and you can just not be looking at the screen and just listening. You'll know exactly what's going on. You'll be involved in it, I'd say, and when the occasional guy blows up or gets shot, you're just like, it's happened, and you've enjoyed it for it, even if you weren't there directly. Other than that, in terms of just runtime, you got 2 full seasons of dub to watch and 5-part OVA. I think it was only something they were working on it, but it kind of fell by the wayside for a while. Been on hiatus for ages.
He's getting back to it though, isn't he? Like, and the anime's coming out at the same time, isn't it?
Yes, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So you got a decent amount of content to take you through it, and you'll get plenty of bang for your buck while doing other stuff. Yeah,
like Black Lagoon is, I think it's in my top 15 anime list regardless. It's a fucking brilliant fucking show. Have the rest of you guys seen it?
Yeah, I have. It's really good.
I fucking love that show. Like, it's that and the fucking crazy Irish guy who goes to the moon.
Benny.
Benny goes to the moon. And it's just, is it Moon or Mars? I can't...
he fly too high, he never come back down.
He never come back down, that was it, yeah. And he's in the hospital or some bollocks. But, like, I love it. Like, every character that is the most ridiculous fucking character ever. Which I think works quite well for the dubbed format.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because the actors go whole hog as well.
Yeah, they really do give a shit in that fucking show.
Well, it's like dubs tend to do very well if there are characters in it where the dub voice actors can actually do like funny voices with it and like do like weird shit, and like it gives more like context and tone to the character, and it just adds a bit more characterization to it. Like there's some examples that I can just give off the top of my head are people like Mayrin and Black Butler and Tsuyu in My Hero Academia. It's just the way they do the like inclination of just the way they sound. Like Tsuyu sounds like a frog in the dub. She literally sounds like one.
She says ribbit all the time. In fact, only says ribbit.
I've never actually seen Black Butler. I've read the first issue with the manga of all things, but never actually seen.
Yeah, same. I know a fair few people who swear by it.
Yeah, the problem is it's got like a very fucking like Shota style character with fucking black gay butler. So like I don't know if it like every girl who's read it I know swears by it. So like very very much like oh do you now like just like one of those shows. Like Alastair, have you seen it then? Would you?
I haven't seen all of Black Butler. I started watching it. I haven't finished it.
Why did you stop?
I think it was just when I was watching so much other stuff at the same time and I just haven't gotten back to it. I own it, so I'm probably gonna go back to watching it. But I just know about some of the voice acting in it because I've heard clips and stuff of that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a weird fucking show because it's got ultra violence, which is everyone's fucking favorite.
I do love ultra violence.
Yeah. You too like Stanley Kubrick, but yeah, we'll tell you what.
I do like Stanley Kubrick a lot.
We'll tell you what, Hugh, because you like Stanley Kubrick, you can recommend me a dubbed anime. Those two worlds overlap heavily.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's the thing: I haven't watched many dubbed anime. So the dubbed anime that I have watched are ones that I've watched for a specific reason. So unlike unlike the other ones in this chat, I've not brought along dubbed anime that I think are really, really good dubs that you could go about and have a fun time with because it's a good dub for a good show. I've brought dubs that bring something new and excellent to the show.
Oh no.
Backstreet's back, alright!
No, I've not brought that.
Big order.
No.
Fuck, that was going to be mine. The joke's ruined.
Oh my! Wait! No, hang on. Does it exist? I have to know.
Well, the Big Order dub, probably.
I think it does.
Oh no! It got cancelled.
That's a shame. That's a shame. Now I'm gonna place a DVD directly in front of me. Now, I rewatched the first episode of this show for you, Lewis, to get you some quotes.
Oh, excellent!
Oh no.
Louis boy, how do you feel about Japanese anime comedy?
Pretty bad. It's pretty bad out here. No, it's alright, actually. I do quite like Japan. I like my Japanese comedy. Dubbed, not sure. Let's see.
Right, gentlemen, have any of you watched the delight that is I believe it's 2010 or 2011 show Squid Girl?
I'm familiar. I'm familiar with Squid Girl.
I actually quite enjoyed it.
Ikubusume
It's great.
is really, really funny to the point where I have the DVD directly in front of me.
Jesus.
I love this show. Now, Lewis, Ikubusume is pretty funny. It's pretty funny. I bought it on DVD because I watched it subbed and it was pretty funny. Then I found out it had a dub, and I started watching the dub. And oh boy, does this show take a turn. Sir, how do you feel about fish puns?
I feel strongly about fish puns.
Squid Girl's entire dub is basically one 12-episode squid pun.
You know what? This is the right way to do fucking comedy.
What basically happens is in the show, Squid Girl ends most of her sentences as a couple of Japanese characters do with little kind of end bits, and she says "ika," which is the Japanese word for squid. Now the problem is in a dub you can't just have a girl randomly
Squid.
talk and then say squid at the end.
Yeah.
It sounds weird. So what they did was they turned that into squid puns. So I'm going to read you out a couple of squid puns that are made in this.
I'll let you research notes.
This is the first 5 minutes of the first episode. We have such classics as "What's wrong? Shark got your tongue, scaredy fish?" The third sentence she ever says has 3 puns in it. I can't remember them off the top of my head. But we've also got phrases like, "From this base, I will proceed to invade mankind." "Wait a cracking minute." And of course, everyone's favourite, "Hold your seahorses."
How many? Is there 12 episodes worth?
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes, they never run out. It keeps going. It keeps going.
It's glorious.
It is one of my favourite shows before the dub turned up, and it is genuinely funny. Literally, you watch that show, you watch it without even watching the front, because no one cares about the visuals. You just listen to it. You listen to the fact that it throws in puns that literally don't make sense. Where at one point, instead of saying "woe is me," she says "squid is me," exceedingly talking about the fact that maybe squid means woe, but she herself is a squid, so she's comparing herself to a woe, and it's all very weird. But then
It should have been "row is me," row fish
yeah,
eggs.
exactly,
Come on.
exactly. But then they have title bits during it, which is we're brothers in arms, and I'm sat there going, why not brothers in tentacles? Come on, Ikamusume dub, you
Yeah.
need to get on it.
It needs to be more dense.
You need to do this fully. There are 12 episodes of this, and I have it on DVD. Unfortunately, the second season was not on DVD and has not been dubbed, which is a continuous sadness for me in my every...
Can we do a group watch of that, together?
Oh, it's brilliant. And Lewis, do you know what's even better about it?
I couldn't possibly imagine, given that there's a fish puns for 12 episodes.
It's a 2012 dub. It's 7 years old, which means
Wow.
the dub is terrible.
Good. Very good.
It is not good. It is, at best, perfectly mediocre. And at worst, an entire 20 minutes of why did you keep this take? I love this show so much. I love this dub so much.
Well, I'll be nicking your DVD if that helps.
What? Yeah, absolutely. Watch this dub. That's me. That's my first one.
Well, there we go. That's Squid Girl quite nicely out of the way. Now that Ben's come back from a piss, would you like to inform us as to what anime you like?
Yeah, sure. You want to know actually the hands down best dub I've ever watched that's the most amusing and entertaining?
Yeah, go on, be brief about it. We're on the clock.
Bible Black.
All right, thank you. Joe?
So I was going to say,
Weirdly enough, Joe was also going to say Bible Black.
yeah.
As was I, and my axe. We have watched a Bible Black dub compilation, haven't we, Ben?
No.
Yes, we have. And
You're not Ben, you little fuck!
it is the most entertainment I have ever derived from watching a dub.
Fuck you. Why?
Non-stop, almost crying with laughter.
It is bad pornography. It is bad pornography.
If you I enjoy bad acting compilations for just because of how funny it is. I enjoy Neil Breen's bullshit. I enjoy fucking best of bad porn acting of no, don't do it.
No, don't do it.
The Bible Black dub is
No.
an absolute
No.
treasure.
not in the
An absolute treasure with great lines such as, "Oh no, there's been a suicide."
Yeah. Ow. Yeah,
And
it is that bad. It is
rice
actually
on your
that
face.
There's rice on your face is my personal favourite.
Also, the random mishmash of accents. One of them is just randomly German.
Right, I'm convinced that they hired some foreign voice actors, or at the very least, someone in the local LA area who they knew, who was well, no, I mean,
Chris, get in here!
if I hired on this, here's $2, fucking Nadine. You do your best. You know what I mean? Read this.
I like how your go-to name was Nadine.
Yeah, Nadine. That's a name. That's definitely a name.
You do your best at this line, okay. Ever since yesterday, I think only of your dog.
Perfect, get out!
And you look at the pornography, you look at her with her smiling face, you look at the $2 left in your hand. Yeah, that was great, Nadine. Can you give us the next one?
Then you look at Mina Say and his excellent pronunciation of the next line of, "My, you're horny."
And then you look at your friend Dave, yeah, that's good, Dave. That'll do.
Thanks, mate!
Genuinely, the compilation is on YouTube. There's none of the actual porn bits in this, so you don't have to subject yourself to the filth of female. And,
to be fair, there is a female that grows a penis, which does make her fine.
That's
you know.
true.
God,
We are joking. Just in case people.
No, you're not!
Apart from me.
Seriously, it's about an 8-minute long compilation, if that, and it is just 8 minutes of pure joy of listening to this, because it is ridiculous. Just please, our one fan who listens to this at work, save that bit for watching at home.
Yeah, best dad. Yeah. But yeah, well, thank you very much, Ben. That was a very enlightening view, and that's your favourite ever dub. I now feel forever changed on the subject.
I'm sorry, Lewis. I like you have not watched as many dubs as other people. I
As
feel.
dupes.
And so there are dubs that I greatly enjoy. However, picking ones to watch in the background is a slight issue.
Yeah, this is
the
where
fact that there's a lot of stuff.
Struggle.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. I am of the opinion with anime, it's never something I really put on in the background. When I put stuff on in the background, it's things like
wow, you're a true weeaboo.
that I've watched about 100 times over or some crap, because I can already recite episodes and crap like that, so I'll just have that in the background because it doesn't make a difference. Whereas with anime, I kind of want to be immersed in it, and so even with the great dub stuff that I like to watch, which I won't mention because that will spark more discussion about the shows, I have my full attention on it, and I won't be doing something else while watching it. Because, and it's weird, because I don't know why that's the case with anime, but it just is. And I think it's because of being trained in such a way by them being released in subs initially. that you get used to. You have to pay attention to these shows. You have to be watching them. You can't take your eyes off, or you're going to miss something. And I still have that sort of mindset even when watching it non-subbed. So
I think it's just down to the nature of the show, really, because like I dare say I used to think your way, and then I got busy. It's kind of like, I don't know the way I put it, like not to say that you aren't or anything, but it's more the fact that it's like, well, time to work for 8 hours staring at a computer. I also want to watch anime. Shit. So like, yeah, you know what I mean, right?
yeah,
Like,
I know exactly
yeah.
what you mean.
So, Lewis, as I now indulge in the mental bleach that is Jack Daniels to forget everything Ben has talked about Bible Black for the past 10 minutes, what's your favourite dub to watch in the background?
My favorite dub to watch in the background, and the one that I'd recommend are two different things, obviously. We'll begin with my favorites. That was one you asked. So my favorite dub to watch in the background is the anime that I have watched in the background 7 times, which is the Code Geass dub. Yes. So I think dub anime definitely works the best when it's disconnected scenes, much like watching anything else in the background. My other recommendation is a comedy show. Code Geass is not a comedy until you've watched it at least 4 times, at which point it very much becomes a comedy. And basically, the reason I think it occurred to me, because the first time I watched Code Geass, I was enraptured. The second time, I loved it. The third time, I realized you could miss every other scene and you wouldn't actually really miss out on the grand scale plot because it is so grand. So the fourth time I watched it, I missed out every other scene and it really made little difference to me.
I mean, I forget how many episodes it's like. It's 2 seasons, but one of them's twice the length, isn't it?
No, it's just it's 50 episodes in total, I believe.
Oh, just two
Well,
lots.
it's twice the length if you take into account the inappropriate trumpet.
I will say, Ben, genuinely, over 8 watches rather, of that anime, I had never noticed that trumpet until you pointed it out to me.
I would like to point out, like, when we were watching the film and me and Lewis were watching it together, at one point he did just go, "Oh, there's the sad trumpet."
and then you see her. Like, it's the fact that it follows no real rhythm. It's just there.
Oh,
And,
yeah,
like,
it's just there. Like, there's one bit where they're just and it starts playing, and I'm like, what? You're product placing Pizza Hut while having just a child conversation, and then there's just this intense trumpet out of tune, and I'm like, what is this? What is happening?
in many ways, it's the perfect anime. Like,
Oh, no, so disso shit again.
nah, it's definitely one of my favorite animes, regardless. But it is kind of my entry level dub, because the beauty of it is that when you know the story of it, everyone working on that thing, it was also their entry level shit. As I say, Liam O'Brien's first major appearance was as the Earl of Pudding, where he also ADR'd the whole thing, directed it. And you've got Johnny Young Bosch featuring as the main protag, Lelouch, when he had only previously worked on Trigun, which was his first ever anime role. So everyone's kind of new to it, and there's so many big name voice actors in it, like, that just kind of sprouted from that, because it was the big thing in the West. So everyone's a little bit nervous and naive, and consequently, it becomes twice as funny. So, as far as a serious watch of Code Geass, I'd still actually recommend it English, if I'm being honest. The only thing which you miss...
a good show.
It's a straight up great dub, a great show regardless, but it's a great dub critically. You got the Emperor of Britannia, who's always fucking fantastic, although his Japanese counterpart is still very good. And the only thing you miss out on by watching it dubbed is in subbed, there is the line, "Yes, my lord," which they say in English, and in Japanese they try it, and it's, "Yes, my lord," and it's just, oh my god, like, it's absolutely fucking champion.
What do you mean the fan sub of "I'm going to proceed to pleasure myself with this fish" isn't official?
Yeah. Also, one other thing which I will say, it suffers the same problem that Metro 2033 does, which is the main character in the original language sounds about 45 years old, and I don't know why. Lelouch sounds 18 in the dub, so, like, you know, that...
Some shit.
So yeah, so that actually works out, but yeah, Code Geass is my go-to dub recommendation. And as I recall, we've got one more round of this as we go around.
Oh,
if anyone,
shit.
Well, no, not really.
So get to thinking, buddy.
No, not really. Does
I mean,
anyone
I've got
else have?
plenty of backup if
I
nobody has
absolutely
stuff.
haven't ever won.
I've got good dubs, but they ain't background stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there is only one background one that shouldn't be a background one on a first watch that I can properly think of.
let's stick to background ones since that's what we were talking about. Let's
Yeah.
because it's an interesting conversation to have like this whole thing, and then like instead of just going on and talking about what's a good dub, like because we could probably name off the top of our heads like tens, if not hundreds, of good dubs.
I'll get the best one out of the way straight away. Bakano. Done.
Helsing.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Like,
Nottaku podcast.
yeah, exactly. I was going to say, but the subversion's so much better.
Too bad we've not released that one yet.
I was going to say, it's just me doing four really bad impressions.
I'd pay to watch that.
I can get Barry to do sign language in the bottom corner of the video if that helps. So,
Perfect.
but no, it is that one in the background because that is genuinely how I could. All the anime I consume these days is genuinely either like today where I sit down with Dororo and I watch it with a cider and that is it for half an hour, or it's on my other telly in the background. That is it. Like those are the two ways I watch anime now.
I'm going to say, like, someone must have another one then.
I mean, I had two backup plans depending on what your guys' choices were, because I had a curveball and then I had a sensible one.
Do whichever one you want. Do whichever one makes the best content.
I'm going to do the curveball one just because the other one is also another show that I would...
Because the sensible one already got taken and it was Bible Black.
No, the sensible one is probably a show where I'd be like, you would probably want to watch this not while doing something in the background, even though that it has a season perfect for what doing stuff in the background while watching
Then
it
it
for.
fails test one.
So I'm going to go with my random one, which is the show that I bought last week and I've watched in the past week, and I finished it today.
Cross-Ange.
No, that was ages ago. But
Monster Musume for the third time.
Darling.
well, it'd be the 10th time at this point, Hugh. Anyway, yeah. So I originally picked this up because when I saw the title, I thought, "Oh, this is going to be another trashy show that I could just watch and enjoy." I started watching it, and to my surprise, it wasn't trashy. It turned out to be a shoujo. So this show is a show called... Oh, fuck.
He's forgotten.
I just forgot the
Is that
title.
the English translation?
Bodacious Space Pirates, whatever it's called, buddy.
Yeah, it was Bodacious Space Pirates is the title. Of
I
the
got your
show.
back, fam.
Dragon Ball Z.
I forgot the word bodacious for a second there.
Don't knock Dragon Ball Z.
Vegeta.
It knocks itself.
It does. Yeah, it does it plenty.
Anyway,
Oh, it's that show.
well, it's a show essentially about a girl who's in an all-girl school, high school in a planet in somewhere. I mean, it's a made-up planet.
Wow.
The world's greatest reviewer.
Just say space, dude. You could have cut that down to just it's high school in space,
Well, it's on a planet though. It's not in space.
but it's
Anyway.
not on Earth.
Where
It's-
are planets, though, buddy? In space.
It's basically it's in a world where a civilization started populating other planets. The first planet they populated in space grew to so large to the point where they wanted independence, and they decided to go to war. To balance out the amount of vessels they had to fight with, that planet decided to hire pirates as mercenaries. So essentially gave pirates letters of marque, basically making them legal
Privateers,
in
got
order
it.
to basically make up the rest of their armies. Before the war really actually anything happened, a third and greater power took both planets into their ring, but then still let them govern themselves the way they wanted to. So the letters of marque still exist. This high school girl, our main character, one day finds out that her dad was a space pirate, and he's now died, and she's next in line to take over the pirate ship, because apparently pirate captains pass on by blood.
Obviously hereditary. Yeah, makes sense.
So so she suddenly becomes a pirate captain.
What's so good about the dub then? What is so good about the dub?
Well, the dub itself, I would say, it's quite an old show, so the dub is still one of those a bit awkward dubs. But I still think the dub is good. It's not unbearable. It does do one thing that is slightly annoying, though, which old dubs used to try and do, which is it does the things where they still use the Japanese honorifics on the end of names when they shouldn't.
Oh, shitloads of
Yeah.
fucking dubs do that. Like, thing is, I actually find it quite endearing, actually, of all things. Like,
It's when they mispronounce it badly that always makes
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. But there's one character. This
just fucking just isolate that single soundbite of me yelling "coon" as loud as I can into the mic.
It was almost on the Ben
It was.
scale. of
Let's
loud.
be honest here, mate. It wasn't as loud as it could have been.
Yeah, so I mean that's a bit annoying, but the dub itself is I mean it's decent enough. The main character is probably the best part of the dub. Is she's a very good dub voice actress and she's done a lot of dub. She's one of the quite original ones. It's Lucy Christian who's voicing the main character. And she's
Yes, I
very
know
good
who
in the
that
role.
is.
Oh, don't be mean. I don't know who she is either.
I mean, I could list you several things that she's played.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
several.
Oh, go on.
She's Nami in One Piece. She plays.
Oh, Nami, I've masturbated to her. If that helps.
It does. It does, mate.
She plays Kaname in Full Metal Panic. She also plays Nagisa in Clannad.
Ah, right. There we go. There's one that I
Oh,
know.
that's a disappointing one.
Oh.
I'm sorry, the dub of Clannad's been ruined for me ever since.
Yeah. Anyway, it was kind of just this thing that I just decided I would talk about because I watched it recently, and I don't think I'd ever be able to bring it up at any other point at all, and it seemed to kind of like fit because the plot itself is not that complicated. It's very split up into quite short 5-episode arcs because it is based off light novels. But the plot is not that complicated. The characters, even though the characters are interesting and it's you want to follow them more, the character arcs aren't that in depth, so it's not like if you miss something, it's not like you're completely stumped. For example, when I was actually watching this show, sometimes I was also doing something like I was doing work occasionally while watching this show as well because I have so many fucking deadlines over the past few weeks that I just had to, and I still enjoyed the show and understood everything. So there you go. That you can absolutely enjoy the show while doing something else.
And to be honest, that is the one and only recommendation I was really after this whole thing, so it does work. But no, it's pretty cool, and like fucking the cover certainly looks like it's something I despise, so I'll give it a go.
If only to tear it apart.
Nah, to be fair, I've had it illustrated to me recently, and I'll like just about anything with a good tone and setting. It's plot that I despise, so I shall test it with bodacious space pirates, I suppose. But yeah.
The thing that it does quite well, actually, which surprised me for its time, it does the whole spaceship, the way spaceships work, it does it quite well. Like, it's very believable of just the sounds they make and the way they move in space. That
Do they have enough cyanide gas?
Hugh,
Don't bring that up again.
she actually appears in Squid Girl as well, the main character.
Hey, your boy.
Well done.
As I said, she's been in a lot of stuff actually.
Everyone should be in Squid Girl.
Yeah.
Everyone should be.
No, I'm just holding the DVD again. I'm just going to caress it gently.
Well, thanks for the fucking update. I assumed you never let go of it, if I'm being honest. Well, thank you very much.
It's got 23 minutes of special features.
That's more minutes than I have to live, Hugh.
I'm sorry. I'll get on and be quick.
Lewis, actually, I've been slightly delayed. I'm 24, but
Oh, fuck TikTok, motherfucker.
it's
Oh,
more
she's
time
Rita.
to sharpen the knives, so
Which Rita?
Sorry, Tales of Vesperia.
Rita Ora.
The game I talked about in the actual anime game cast. She plays probably one of my favorite characters. I didn't actually know that.
Well, there we go then.
More importantly, she's Reg in Made in Abyss. That's right.
Yes,
She's a
More-
little robot boy.
Even more importantly, Ben, what is your second recommendation?
Well, I would like to give a quick shout out
No, you don't.
No, you don't. You give your second recommendation.
to Moosey
No.
to essentially,
No.
in general, episodic shows. Because
Okay,
episodic shows
thanks,
would be the best to watch in the
bitch.
background due to the fact to pay attention to an overarching plot.
I would also like to give my shout out to dubbed anime.
I will give my shout out to
Well,
all ecchi anime because they're hilarious as fuck dubbed.
I'd like to give a shout out to the English language.
I'd like to give a shout out to the concept of sound.
Like, favorite, subscribe.
Hit that bell. no, Ben, do continue. Actually, episodic anime is a good fucking point. Actually, because I've spoken before about the merits of Dark and the Black. One of the best bits about it is the 2 episodic nature of it. So you can put
Do
it
you know,
down.
do you know, do you know what's a good? Do you know what's a good episodic anime?
You're not Ben.
Good girl.
But yeah, episodic anime is a good one to watch in the background for stuff. Because it's just easy to drop in and out and tune in and follow the plot because it's only a 24-minute plot for each, so it has to be fairly easy to pick up and zoom in. So like, and ones with decent jobs, you've got like Mushishi and Cowboy Bebop, which are great. However,
I have so been meaning to watch Mushishi dubbed.
It's
I
very
so mean that.
Very
Yeah.
good. However, my specific recommendation with this one is one that has slightly longer episodes but still easier to follow, and that is Katana Gatari.
Oh, also been meaning to watch.
As each episode is it's episodic. Each one is a new sword that they are hunting down. There is an overarching.
My
plot.
favourite's the gun.
Yes,
Two
there is
guns.
an overarching plot
Two
which makes you
guns.
interested. There's really well done fight scenes that you can
My
watch.
favourite's the armor.
The characters are cool, and essentially it's just one that can really retain your interest without you having to pay that much attention. And
Shit,
if you're
you're
watching
right.
it, you don't have to pay that much attention, but it has the sort of bits where you can drift your eyes over. Oh, there's a fight scene going on. I can take
And then just
I can take a 5-minute break and just gouge out. Oh, they're back to talking. I can listen because I know what every character sounds like in English. Back to what I'm doing.
That's a good recommendation, actually. Chronologically, do I watch that before or after Kizumonogatari?
We've already watched
For anyone
Kizumonogatari, so
for anyone that hasn't heard of Katana Gatari, it is not part of the Monogatari series.
but it's written by the same bloke.
Yes, yeah. The guy likes the Gattery. He's a big fan of the Gattery.
He likes his stories.
He does, but yeah, so that's fair enough. Well, that's a good recommendation you got there, Benny boy. So what I've been meaning to watch for a while now, so you piqued my interest. You know, is there any way to watch Katana Gatari other than with your eyeballs?
I'm afraid there is no way to watch Gatari. You will have to buy the Blu-ray or the DVD if it even exists, and if not, you are unfortunately going to have to go onto a seedy site.
Oh no! But it tells me there's singles in my area, Hugh. How bad can it be? But speaking of singles in our area, Hugh, what is your favourite dubbed animation?
So again, you guys have all been going, here are good anime dubs that you can watch, aren't they cool? Yeah, whoa. I'm again going to put down the second one of the dub that adds something different and new to the actual show itself, and as a result, it's worth watching as a result of it. No.
Oh.
Lewis.
You sounded legitimately disappointed there, man.
Lewis, have you ever watched Panty and Stocking and Garter Belt?
Yes, I have.
Have
Yes,
you
I
watched
have.
it dubbed?
Yes, I have.
Watch it dubbed again. The Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt dub is brilliant. It's better than the sub. It's just
It's perfection.
It's awesome. It is actually like when you always talk about subs, and I said earlier in the podcast that people are like, "Oh, this is the way that the creator intended for it to be viewed." The dub is straight up the way the creator intended Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt to be viewed. It is designed as a homage and a love letter to Western cartoons. That's why it has the look it does. As a result, they wanted it dubbed. They wanted it to be look Western. And so the dub puts itself out there and goes full hog into it. And it's absolutely hilarious. More so than the sub is. The sub is funny. The dub takes it to one of the funniest things I've ever watched. Watch it again. It's just good. It's something you can stick on in the background and just giggle at every so often. Because I still think the scene where they are just talking about dieting gets me going every single time of just... There it is, here it is, nip, nip, fatty. It just gets me every time.
If it's any consolation, here's a quick bit of trivia. I have watched it. The reason I didn't watch it is I watched it immediately after I met the guy who directed it.
There you go.
So, yeah, there
you
we
go.
go.
There you go. But then again, for those of you who haven't watched it, that's my recommendation. It's genuinely one of the best things ever in terms of comedy. It's just brilliant.
It's pretty great.
No, it's brilliant. The dub, like, to just show how good this dub is. One, when Funimation were given this dub by the creators of the show, they basically said, look, we can't do this in Japanese. We don't have the ability in our language to actually go as far as we want with this. Go ham. Do what you want with it. Like, go insane. Then also, the dub is on the discs that are shown, sold in Japan.
Which is wonderful, isn't it? I love the fact that it's one of the only shows that actually has the English dub officially on the thing.
Yeah, and also, in the show, there are visual puns that only work in English. Like, actually animated in the actual show, there are visual puns that only work in the English language.
It's just great. It's so good. It just works.
It's so good. It's really good.
I'm actually trying to remember why fucking because I stopped watching Panchasaki and Gargoyle. I can't remember why. To be fair, sex humor doesn't really do it for me most of the time. So like, I ended up preferring Stalking mainly. I think that was the one.
Oh, Stocking's my favourite.
Yeah, the very sardonic, cynical one. I quite like that.
I mean, there are reasons I like Stocking more than Pansy for like the fact that it's Monica Rial who voices her. But like,
No, it's a good pick. Probably the pick, really. As far as like better dubbed goes over subbed sort of anime, apart from maybe Fooly Cooly, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah,
again, a show that the dub came out before the sub because it was the intended watch, and I still haven't watched the new seasons because America sat down and kept that to itself.
Yeah,
thanks, America.
I believe the first anime to that was actually Space Dandy, as I recall.
Yeah, the Big O as well. The Big O did it.
Yeah, there's plenty of them actually. That's fair enough. Well, in which case,
Paranoia Agent did it because that aired in the West initially.
Oh, did it? Did it air?
It aired on like Cartoon Network or something like that. Some bullshit. Back in the golden days of them doing late night dark shows, like
Adult Swim,
early Yu-Gi-Oh.
Lest we forget fucking Invader Zim. Oh my lord, I love that show. That was evil as fuck. Joe, do you have a second dubbed animation with which to recommend me? Merely being conscious of time, but Hugh, I think you gave probably the recommendation there.
Yeah, probably. I'd agree. So the second show I'd be giving would be one that a few of the cast have been introduced to just by its first episode. I believe only myself and Alastair have watched it in almost its entirety. Full Metal Panic.
Oh yeah. There we go. That was my other one that I was going to bring up, and I decided I was going to do my curveball instead.
There we go. We covered all the bases then together.
Hey ho, let's go. Thanks for listening to the Nottaku podcast.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, let's go, Kikasu!
Actually, it's King Kasu.
Let's fighting love.
Protect my balls.
Anyway, should we actually talk about Full Metal Panic?
That's the end of the podcast right there. Too perfect an ending.
No. Honestly, I've never watched Full Metal Panic. Like, sub or dub.
Brilliant.
I'm going to be tagging in Alastair for a lot of this. He's
from the 2 episodes I've seen of it, and I did enjoy the 2 episodes. I struggle to see how you couldn't pay attention to it. It always seemed like something was going on.
Well, that's why I didn't originally suggest it. The thing is, there is a perfect season in there to watch in the background. It's the Fumofu season. The Fumofu season would be your perfect show to watch in the background. The only problem is you have to watch the entire first season of Full Metal Panic before you can watch Fumofu.
See, the way I see it is, yes, there is always something going on, but it's semi-episodic. Like it's 3 to 4 episode spaces, I'd say. So not quite as cut down as Dark and Black, where it still keeps your attention, but it's still able to do it fairly well. Yes, there's an overarching.
It's got arcs. It's got arcs.
Yeah.
Not episodic. It's got arcs.
It's got arcs, and like it's got a semi-overarching plot that kind of comes up and disappears like it does in Cowboy Bebop. But yeah, it's a really good dub. The dub
is fantastic.
Yeah, it's done wonderfully. It's a great, A-Team kind of fist take, as you know, like from the first episode where they actually have the A-Team theme just close enough to be a lawsuit, I believe.
The thing that always gets me with the dub is the cast of the two main characters, as in Sosuke and Konami. This works so well off each other in the
They
dub,
do.
and Sosuke in particular, his voice of just
Complete deadpan military man.
yeah, and it's
out
just
of his
like
depth.
it's every single time he goes, it's not a problem. It's just
Not a
like
problem.
it's so good. It's just. And
I
then
can handle that.
Konami once again, Lucy Christian, she does a fantastic job in that role. Her thing of just like, I'm going to, tell you off every single time you do something stupid, Sosuke, and then hit you with a paper fan.
I mean, they had to keep some Japanese tropes.
Was there a character really called Sosuke Bosuke?
Sosuke
Sosuke Sagara.
Sosuke Bosuke!
But yes, Sosuke Bosuke.
Yeah,
Bosuke and Losuke.
What makes Full Metal Panic a good dub, critically?
Once again, all similar to Battle Lagoon, in fact that it's all very fluid. The characters all go back and forth really well to each other, even if it's a much more subdued kind of tone setting, as it is majority in this high school setting when they aren't, in their armed slaves. Is it called, Alastair?
Yeah, armed slaves.
Armed slaves, which are the mechas of this, where fighting off in Afghanistan, dragging a nuke through a desert, stuff like that. It keeps
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, yes.
Is it weapons to pass it?
No.
It may well be. Let's wait for our correspondent. Ben, you're in Afghanistan.
For me personally, as I said, the main draw for the dub is just it's one of those things that Sosuke's dub voice for me, because you can hear the tone in his voice and you can kind of get that from the English language, whereas from I wouldn't get that necessarily from the Japanese, because of course I don't understand. It adds his tone of the way he speaks adds to his character, and just that's what he is. He is the militaristically trained man who just knows nothing about how to act as an actual teenager, and is just guns. And if he has to deal with a situation, he uses a grenade. That's just
one of I know it's a weird one, but probably one of the best comparisons I can make is to bloody Blade Runner 20 with the main character.
Careful.
No, it was just the fact that it shows very little emotion throughout and stuff. But the moments when he does, and it's just he does it very few times. Those times are exactly enough, and it's just done. It just goes through it, and then they move right on to the next part.
Fair enough. It sounds like the protag was one of the few bits which I really engaged with when I watched the first couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The protagonist is really what makes it, and it's even the supporting cast of the other characters, the other mech pilots,
the crew of the submarine.
They all have really, good voice actors behind them, and it's
love went into it. And it's not a lot of famous names, but everyone there, I think, really put a lot of effort into it.
The other thing that's also great, and I don't know if the sub actually did this, because Full Metal Panic is one of the show that surprisingly got a 4th season out of nowhere, 10 years later. The dub cast is the same. They brought back the entire dub cast to make for the 4th season, so you have the same cast throughout every single season of that show, which doesn't always happen.
Cue Kingdom Hearts.
I mean, mate, that's different. Half of them died.
Still happened.
Well, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to take
Necromancy? Simple.
Yeah. Do you want to take him, pull him up, and just be like, "Hey, do you mind just giving a couple of voice lines for us?"
I would happily desecrate the corpse of Leonard Nimoy if it would made that fucking ending better.
Ooh.
Thank you for listening to the Nottaku podcast, listeners. We've talked about a variety of subjects this week, and it's good to know that still there are some decent anime to watch this week. My final recommendation is Psyche K. I talked about it in our other video, which which talked about some of the best anime that we had been watching recently. Psyche K's got a brilliant dub, and it's a good comedy anime. Available on Netflix. Recommend that you watch it. Rip Leonard Nimoy.
They just added the last 2 episodes as well, so you can now watch the full thing on Netflix.
Well, there we go. Rip Leonard Nimoy, you insensitive fuck, Joe. And good night, listeners. I hope you've had a good day.
I'm going to jail.
I'm going to jail.
I'm already in jail.